By now, I think most of us have seen the video of the American citizen in Key Largo dragged from her vehicle, screaming, was arrested by Customs and Border Patrol and ICE agents. That video has gone super viral. I've seen it all over Instagram and Facebook. A lot of people sent it to me, but every time I've seen it posted, there hasn't been an awful lot of context. And not only that, in the days since the incident happened, there has been an update with more information. So I want to share that with you so we know what really happened. Often we see these very short videos of ICE or Customs and Border Patrol engaging in a way that horrifies us. Unless you're MAGA, who get into my comments every time I post one of these videos on Facebook, and they're like, oh yeah, well, then you shouldn't mess with law enforcement. Don't break the law if you don't want to get treated this way. It's like they have no concept of constitutional rights. They're just like, yes, please, daddy, take all of my rights. Treat me however you want. I do think a lot of these MAGA men really have a domination kink combined with a humiliation kink. And I don't mean that in a healthy way. I think they see these videos and they fantasize about themselves being treated this way far more than they fantasize about treating other people this way. No shame to anybody who's into a little consensual BDSM. That's not what I'm referring to, but anyway, okay, sorry. Here is the clip in case you haven't seen it yet. Sorry, I had to bring a little dark humor to a truly frightening situation and a truly frightening time that we live in, but here's the clip. This is mile marker 103.4 in Key Largo, Florida. This happened at about 9:15 in the morning as the woman featured here, who is an American citizen and a behavioral therapist, was on her way to work. She's 4'11" and weighs 85 pounds, by the way, and it took 1, 2, 3, at least 4 of these chuddies. What'd she do wrong? No front license plates. That incident happened on Wednesday, December 3rd, again in Key Largo, Florida, during the morning rush hour. That clip was put out by the Miami Herald and others, and it went viral very quickly. You can hear her screaming, "I'm a U.S. citizen." Not forgetting that this has happened, 64,000 times to immigrants in this country in the last 2 months alone. But a petite, blonde American citizen who works in healthcare being treated this way, totally different public reaction. So by December 6th, the Miami Herald had quite a lot of additional information to share with us, and I want to share that with you because I saw an awful lot of people covering that clip the day that it came out, and then there wasn't a lot more to go on. And so I saw post after post from MAGA hats who were like, oh, well, she must have done something. She must have broke the law, and therefore she deserves whatever happened to her. And there's not enough context in that clip. So we're just going to assume that law enforcement is in the right, as if that doesn't play into the video I put out the other day about how the problem with Americans is that an awful lot of us are sheeple. A lot of us are conditioned to obey authority, to presume authority is in the right. That's part of why we're in this position now. So the update from the Miami Herald says the woman in medical scrubs who was forcibly yanked from her car while on her way to work in Key Largo, screaming that she was a U.S. citizen, has said that she obeyed the federal agent's commands to roll down her window, and the story that immigration officials told was, quote, completely false. Now, we've seen this again and again. Tricia McLaughlin, Kristi Noem's buddy who works for DHS, has repeatedly been caught lying, straight up lying when she describes what happens. The New Republic had an entire piece about Tricia McLaughlin lying, and I encourage you to go read it. What they say in these press releases doesn't match what happens in court, by the way. It doesn't match what they are able to swear to in court. Tricia McLaughlin just looking forward to the day when she faces the law for what she's doing now. But too many Republicans see something put out by the government and they trust it. The don't tread on me, folks. The folks who didn't believe a word out of the mouth of Joe Biden or anybody from his administration, they believe that the federal government now is just angelic, absolutely straight truth. They're incapable of lies or manipulations. That kind of blows my mind. Anyway, this is what the woman had to say. To clarify, I did roll down my window the moment they pulled me over, and any claim saying that I refused to do so is completely false. That was part of her detailed statement to the Miami Herald. In the video of the incident, you can clearly see my window is rolled down. They opened my door, which further proves that I complied from the start. The woman, who is a behavioral therapist and was dressed in green medical scrubs, was on her way to work when masked agents dragged her from her car at about 9:15 in the morning on Wednesday. They had pulled her over to the southbound lanes of US 1 in front of the Pink Plaza Shopping Center at mile marker 103.4 in Key Largo. She is shy of 5 feet and weighs 85 pounds. Before I could even reach for my driver's license, the individuals surrounding my vehicle threatened to break my window, creating fear and pressure instead of allowing me a moment to comply. Their tone and actions made it extremely difficult to remain calm or feel safe. I've talked about this extensively. Legitimate law enforcement are supposed to be trained in de-escalation. ICE, Customs and Border Patrol, they want to escalate. They are trying on purpose to escalate. That way they can trump up charges like resisting arrest. They are trying to amp up the situation to justify an escalation of their violence and a violation of your rights. Now, Customs and Border Patrol told the Miami Herald that the woman refused to roll down her window, and after she eventually did, she refused to hand over her driver's license. However, a Miami Herald reporter was on the scene and filmed it. That's the viral clip that you saw. When asked to clarify their statement in the face of video evidence and the woman's testimony about what happened, guess what? Customs and Border Patrol declined to comment. The press is withholding her name for her own safety, but she says agents yanked her from her Toyota and threatened to break her window while she was in the process of reaching for her license. Agents then hoisted her up, carried her to a grassy area, wrestled her to the ground while she kicked and screamed. She was later handcuffed. "I'm a U.S. citizen. Please help me. This is unfair. Why are you doing this to me?" she yelled as passing drivers watched. From the very beginning of the encounter, there was clear intimidation, she wrote. She says that the agents were masked, never identified themselves, which heightened fear, confusion, and a sense of danger. She rolled down her window, was intending to comply, but the agents unlocked her car door, yanked her out of her car while she was in the process of reaching for her license. They dragged me out of my vehicle aggressively, snatched my phone from my hand, and handcuffed me. Being surrounded by masked, unidentified men was terrifying. She was detained in an unmarked Ford SUV and watched as agents looked through all of her belongings, which she said she did not consent to. They found her license, identified she was a U.S. citizen, and released her. According to immigration attorneys, none of that was legal. None of that was legal, said Magdalena Supras, a Southern Florida immigration attorney. If you're within 100 miles of a border, which in theory the keys are, then Customs and Border Patrol can ask you for citizenship documents. But they do not have a right to go into your car or into your purse. That is unreasonable search and seizure. The woman's sister called what happened to her a complete overstepping on human rights and dignity. By the way, during this traffic stop, Customs and Border Patrol did snatch 14 immigrants. In the days following the event, the woman says she's not been able to sleep. She's in physical pain from how she was handled. She keeps reliving the incident. "I am traumatized, humiliated, degraded, and unheard," she wrote. "I want to make something absolutely clear. This is not the America I grew up in. This is not the America we represent. I refuse to allow anyone, identified or not, to violate my rights and strip away my dignity." I want you to think back to just 1 year ago. How would you have responded to a news story about masked men, unidentified, dragging an American citizen out of her car, handcuffing her, stuffing her in the back of an SUV? A complete and total violation of her constitutional rights. How would you have responded 1 year ago? Do not let what they are doing now become normalized. This is not normal. This is not constitutional. This is not acceptable. We cannot allow this kind of behavior to become normal in the US. Please understand, they want us to accept this, and we cannot.